Welcome to Inside Scoop with Sean Emory. Every week we are examining something new, bringing you closer to companies, sectors, and themes. This recording should not be construed as a substitute for personalized individual advice from Avory Company or any guest on the show. This is for educational purposes only and not intended to make an offer or solicitation for any companies or securities mentioned. With that, let's get on with the episode. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Inside Scoop. I just watched the 1-minute intro video for the Quest 3 from Meta. Today we're going to talk about it. It was just announced from Zuckerberg. It was a surprise to many. We're actually in Zuckerberg's Instagram conversation group. Those groups that they're placing on Instagram now. He hinted at an announcement a couple days prior. And so we did guess, this could be the announcement, just given that, Apple has their announcement coming next week and it's, fully 100% expected to, have an AR VR device coming out. And, that's the power of making sure that you are across all different areas. Remember, back last year, we had a Metaverse Super Series where we brought on amazing guests that are building in AR and VR, companies like Arkeo in architecture, Victory XR in education. We had Interact Ventures with Derai and VR Fund with TippyTat. They're at some of the different AR VR conferences actually today. We're an investment firm ourselves here at Avory. Co-founder and chief investment officer is myself, Sean Emory. It was good to have a great combination of players and understand, who's really building real tangible use cases in AR VR. So go check out, our Metaverse Super Series on our podcast or, our YouTube channel, Avory Co, where we put a lot of our research out there as an investment firm. We think anything that can be digitized will be digitized. And it's really AR and VR that is that computing platform to do so. At Avory, we don't think that, it's a matter of if, it's really a matter of when. And we're all seeing, the small signals of that day. And I think this was one of them. And one of the many signals we'll get over the next decade and many years to come. Interestingly enough, Meta is front running Apple's event next week where they're launching their AR VR headset. I'll share some thoughts and expectations here at the end of this, but let's start with the take on Meta's new Quest 3 announcement. The Quest 3 is a significant upgrade from the Quest 2. It has a number of new features and improvements. Again, we don't know all the specs, but we have some to at least work off of. And what we'll do is we'll look at some of those specs here and what ultimately it means for maybe the future of AR and VR or XR as the combination. Ultimately, what is important is that the headsets need to and will continue to shrink in terms of size, weight, and while we're not seeing any, collapse to a glasses, what's important is again size, weight, shrinkage, while performance continues to improve. So those two things going in the opposite direction. The best way to summarize Quest 3, I think, is just that, smaller, faster, lighter. This trend should continue over the coming years and makes, VR and AR more ubiquitous with our everyday lives, whether you like it or not. I think this part of computing is here to stay and may look slightly different, obviously, in the next, 3, 5, 7 years. But this is the roadmap to that end state. The Quest 3, from what we know, is 40% smaller than the Quest 2, regardless of actually all the hardware that is being put into this thing. Pancake lens, which will also make it slimmer. So slimmer and lighter and smaller. Some of the specs that we know so far, again, is the Quest 3 is powered by Qualcomm's new Snapdragon XR3 processor. That's twice as powerful as the Snapdragon XR2 processor, which is in the Quest 2. This ultimately means that the Quest 3 can deliver smoother visuals, more immersive experiences, and we've heard that from some people, and longer battery life relative to performance. So the Quest 3 also has a new design that is lighter, more comfortable to wear. And while it has the same, that Quest or Oculus look, it does have a new design overall. The lenses are also larger. They offer a wider field of view, so better performance, when you summarize it all around. More specific to the the XR3 from Snapdragon from Qualcomm is an 8-core chipset, similar to all Snapdragon XR chips. XR3 is a system on chip, so meaning all computing is in a closed infrastructure. This is what you'll see in the future for upcoming AR and VR devices. Brad Lynch, he does a lot of good work here, put out some performance figures around this chip versus legacy. Conclusion was as follows: on a standalone basis, this will perform and provide experiences on various devices, and will be a huge uplift. I believe Mark Gurman from Bloomberg, he's tried on or demoed the device, Quest 3. He's also noted a significant increase in performance and really highlighted how the pass-through technology on this device actually works pretty well. Pass-through technology, it's here, it's key for this to continue to evolve and work and become more and more ingrained in life. So far, what we know, again, using Mark Gurman as a proxy here, the pass through is so much better, being able to not only see around your world, but seeing in the real world as well, interact with it, basic things. So looking at your phone clearly, taking notes on a physical notepad, keyboards, etc. This change also shows in the rendering. So if you actually looked at the rendering online, you can see that there's 3 cameras at the front. So it used to be this minimal Quest 2 design on the front. I have mine right here. There's nothing in the front really. 2 side cameras, but this has 3 large ones in the middle. So it's definitely a different design. So if someone has the Quest 3 versus Quest 2. All of this is coming in at $499, which for what it sounds like means this seems like a great bang for your buck. When you take cost to performance ratio, I think this is definitely at the top. Not only this, the prior generations will also get an uplift in performance and for cost. So the Quest 2 is going to drop to $299 for 128 gigabyte SKU. And they also highlighted how, they're going to increase the performance of those devices as well. So, win, win, win when you look at it across the board. And all of this, we're talking about September for this to come out. So call it, 3-4 months roughly when they'll have an event. So the future of AR, the Quest 3, major step forward for VR, AR, XR in general. It's more powerful, more comfortable, has more features than Quest 2. Is it the perfect device? Obviously not. I mean, we're not at that perfect device. That's that, end state. But this does make it a great choice for anyone who wants to get, into this space and continue to get better experiences. The Quest 3 is maturing. It's showing, maturation in the technology. It's becoming more affordable, more accessible, more immersive. Good for VR enthusiasts in general, but it's also good news for just the direction of VR and XR, the future of computing. We think that's kind of where this is all headed. Now, how do you gauge that? This announcement comes at the heels of Apple's announcement next week. Zuck is playing ball here. He's pretty confident these days, and I think it was a good move to get ahead of the high performance product from what Apple's going to put out there. This Quest 3 is high performance, nice price point. Apple's going to put out a very high performance product, and I'll talk about the specs in a second. But the price point is going to be enormous, $2,000 to $3,000 for the device. So they're expected to unveil this Monday, June 6th. So this week coming up, the headset, codename N301, is rumored to be a high-end device, costing around that $2,000 to $3,000 mark. It'll have 2 8K displays, a powerful processor, a variety of sensors and tracking devices all around for head and hand movements. The headset will be compatible, obviously, with its software ecosystem. So think of, iOS, iPadOS, and macOS. Stepping into some of the, key bullet points around the device. From what we know so far, again, we'll know more on Monday, but it's a powerful augmented reality. So AR, you'll get AR experiences and virtual experiences. Historically, Apple has always hinted at, AR, and this device is going to be very much VR and AR. So, Zuck says VR and AR. Apple was always saying, AR will win the day. And in some cases, it will for certain things, but clearly they're making a device for both. So it'll be powered by a custom Apple chip, more powerful apparently than the M1 Pro, which is in the MacBook Pro. Those 8K displays, one for each eye, pretty cool. So it'll be very good experiences overall. Uh, Field of view, very wide from what we know, allowing to see again more surroundings, and the types of sensors and tracking apparently are top notch. The compatibility is super important, and how seamless that is, we'll see. The Apple headset, is a big move for Apple, and really their first foray into augmented and virtual reality. It'll be the first Apple product that is designed specifically for this, and ultimately, we think will continue to help um, make AR and VR more popular, not only for people that want to actually do it, but for developers as well. Anyone doubting, I think AR and VR should really, think again, as Apple is now going to be in the game. It remains to be seen how successful the Apple headset will be. However, I do think it's clear that Apple is serious about this space, and this is not a light investment. And we know that from Facebook Reality Labs. Ultimately, what does that mean? They're serious about it. What do they see? Do they see it as is this a defensive move or offensive move? You know, to be determined. Lastly, people are calling this the iPhone moment. I'm not sure about this. Some have asked me about it. I think it's really validation of the future of where computing is headed. If Apple does surprise with something, sub $1,000, that's not, the base case here. But if they do, I think that's where you get the aha moment where they put a device that's just affordable enough to, make their devices mainstream enough. But this is a $2,000-3,000 device, not that. So, with that, that's it for this episode of Inside Scoop. Next week, we will cover the post Apple launch, assuming there's anything interesting to talk about. With that, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Avory Co. 2,300 followers today, on our way to, as many as as possible. But, we do a good job at putting our research out there as an investment firm, exclusive interviews with CTOs, CFOs, and CEOs and founders. You know, Spotify, Apple Music, and podcasts, Inside Scoop. Look for that. Anyways, with that, thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.